Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the 2022 School District of Palm Beach County Virtual Technology Conference. We are thrilled to have you here with us today, and thank you for joining us. Before we do get started, we have a couple of housekeeping items to go over. Please remember that you can communicate with one another using the chat on the right-hand side. Most of you have been with us for another session. If you have not, and this is your first session, please click into the chat so you can create a channel and communicate with your colleagues and with the moderators and other people as well. If you see somebody in the chat with a wrench, that person is a moderator. They will be able to assist in answering questions and helping with any concerns. As a reminder, this session is being recorded. It will be available on the conference platform for 30 days, and it will also live on our YouTube channel for the life of the channel. Please remember to like the video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Share with your friends on social media. If you are tweeting, hashtag Palm Beach or PBC Tech Conference, and remember to tag at EdTechPBC. We would love to hear what you are learning from our conference and hear the things that really spoke to you. Again, hashtag PBC Tech Conference on Twitter, and be sure to tag at TechPBC. At this point, I'm going to bring Robert Tutoni in. Good morning, Robert. Robert is from the STEM department at the district, and he is here to share with us teaching with a purpose, teaching technology with a purpose. So at this point, I'm going to turn the session over to Robert. Robert, have a wonderful session, and we will be back with you at the end. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you to EdTech for having me today. As you said, my name is Robert Tutoni. I am from the STEM department. I'm K through 12 specialist. As you can see, the title of it is Technology with a Purpose. So a little background on that. Technology can be overwhelming, and there's so many resources out there. I wanted to make sure that, we're touching the technology, supporting on what's going in your classrooms each and every day. So we're going to be talking about the best standards and how we can use technology to support that, making it a better learning environment and engaging our students. All right, the agenda is going to be short and simple. It's going to be the opportunities for the technology. It's going to be supporting the standards, and then I'm going to show you an example. The example is a third grade one, which based on the comments I've seen so far, there's quite a few of you in here in elementary school, a few middle schools, but you'll get the idea. So let's go ahead and go through that. All right. So STEM creates opportunities for technology with the 4 C's. A big misconception with STEM is that people think of STEM and they think robots, building with Legos, coding. That's true. Those things do fall under STEM. However, there are so many opportunities out there that you can teach STEM and get the technology in that classroom that isn't those 3. And what those are the 4 C's. So the 4 C's are huge. These are skills that are all in STEM, and technology helps it a lot too. So let's look at these. Communication is number 1. Sharing thoughts, ideas, and questions. So later we're going to look at an example of communication. Communication is so different from what we were taught as students. These generations of kids are doing communication things that we didn't even think would ever exist. And look at us right now. We're in Google Meet type things. We're communicating, we're sharing ideas. So very important. Collaboration, we do turn-in talks all the time in the classroom, but collaboration can be used with technology. So we're going to look at that. Critical thinking. Critical thinking is a huge piece. This is like the real world. When we get out and we have problems, we can't always go back, reread text and figure it out. We got to be creative And using STEM, using technology gives those students opportunities to be critical thinkers and be good problem solvers. And then the last C for the 4 C's is creativity. Trying new approaches to solve problems. So sometimes you got to go outside the box to get what you want out of the finding the solution or out of the situation. So those four are the 4 C's that are STEM. So like I said, it's not always the robots, it's not always the coding. We're going to try to use those 4 C's in all classrooms, kindergarten through K, or 12, sorry. Today's example will show technology support in all four of the 4 C's. And over to the side, we see these skills can impact our high DOK. So if you are able to integrate, the 4 C's into your classroom, some of the benefits you can see from that is the higher order thinking skills, and on assessments, they might be able to have an impact on those DOK3 range problems. All right, for supporting the standards, this is a third grade example. It comes straight from STEM Scopes. It comes straight from Benchmarks, which is the new ELA, and it's current, and I got most of it from Blender. I will tell you what I added. I will tell you what was given, so you can see that I'm not trying to create the wheel. I am taking the wheel and adding things to it, including the technology. So again, the main purpose is ELA, but we're going to connect it with our math, our science standards, and then we're going to pull technology and STEM and integrate it into our lessons. So the standards here are 2 ELA. The first one is 3R 1.3. That was just taught a few weeks ago, I believe, and that is on how a character progresses from the beginning to a story to the end of the story. And then the next ELA one is a writing standard that has students writing a paragraph or a few sentences, opinion, but then they have to pull evidence from a text. So those two I want you to remember, because we're going to be looking at those a lot as we go through the integration. The math, it's multiplication, I believe, distributed property. That's not too important. We'll talk about that quickly. But the science is a big one. So the science standard is going to be models and how models help us better understand our natural world. So the ELA and the model for the science standard, those are the two big ones that we're going to be looking at a lot and integrating. So what I did was I pulled up the scope and pacing, I seen how they align, and then I lesson planned on how can I make these align, what can I do to make sure that all these standards can match up, which is this. So this is how I plan for STEM lessons, and it's going to look confusing for you. So for questions, hopefully we're going to come back later and have some questions, but maybe some of them get answered on some of the next slides, because I might confuse you at this part. So at the top, we see the 5 E's. This is how we lesson plan for science. And then over here on the left, we have science, technology, engineering, math, which are the STEM. The bottom is the literacy connection. So remember, I said this comes from Benchmark. It came from Blender. So this doesn't even start until the teacher has done this text. So King Midas is a text in Benchmark, where I'm sure most of you know. It's a king who's obsessed with gold. He makes a wish or something. Everything he touches with his hand turns to gold. But then at the end of the story, I believe he touches his daughter and she turns to gold. So his whole perspective has changed, which is what the standard is. So you can see right there, how has the character changed over time? So like I said, all of this part was given to us on Benchmark, and we're not touching that. That's what every teacher needs to do. What we are going to do is use the standards from the science, and we're going to integrate it into the ELA, and we're going to do it during a science block and our ELA block. So up here, you can see anything I write in yellow, that's going to happen during ELA block. Anything in the green, that's going to happen in the science block. All right, so let's take a look. We read King Midas day 1 with the students during our ELA time, but now it is science time. So that day in science, we're going to engage them. So it says, when the king turned his bed sheets into solid gold, he said the sheets are now hard and cold. So the science standard is about models. We are going to explore Models. So you're going to physically give them maybe a piece of cloth and then a metallic piece, and you can have them talk. You can have them explore what models help us better understand the real world, which that is what the science standard is. But then we want to throw in the technology. So students create a web-based model of a bedroom. So I'll show you an example of this after I go through the rest of this, but it's just a digital tool like a blueprint of designing a bedroom. It has the measurements. You can add beds, cabinets, whatever. So it's engaging them and it's giving them some like freedom to explore of what a bedroom could look like. Because the next day when we go to ELA, we're going to give them an engineering activity. So I'll show you this activity. For now, it's just called the King's Throne Room. So they're going to end up drawing a picture of the bedroom in the beginning of the story, because in the beginning of the story, he's obsessed with gold. But then they're going to also draw what the bedroom might look like at the end of the story, because that is the ELA standard. How does the character change over time? So that's why it is in yellow. They're going to be doing that in the ELA time. All right. Then they're also going to be hitting the writing standard. I want them to explain why their bedroom changed using text from the story. So they're doing both of them, and they're going through explaining, they're doing a lot of engaging things based on their science model they made the day before. Okay, and then we're going to go down here for the assessment. You want to make sure that they were able to achieve both those standards in their activity. But then we're going to go back to the technology later that day in the science up here, and we're going to have some communication. So I'm going to show you some technology that they use to communicate their ideas, their findings, ways that you can celebrate student success through this app, actually, and it's called Flipgrid. All right, so I know that might have been confusing, but you can see it integrates the ELA and the science, all the standards flow together. I'm going to show you some of the activities, and hopefully you'll have a better understanding of what it looks like. All right, and then that's the math one. I'm going to skip that for now. All right, so this is the science resource. So the technology is going to give them the C's of creativity and critical thinking in this one. So you just read King Midas, and now we're fast forwarding to science. So you give them the opportunity to explore models. You did the physical one. Now you're giving them the digital tool. Give them opportunities to turn and talk, making sure that you're hitting the science standard. Why is this important? How do these tools help us better understand our surroundings and our world? Then you're going to have them create the bedroom. So great resource for them to just get some exposure and help them for the following day. So now day 2, this is say Tuesday. This is their ELA standards, same standards, and this is their activity. So based on using that prior tool, the digital tool, now they're going to take that and help them for their ELA. So it says design a model of the king's bedroom. What it looked like in the beginning, and again at the end. Think of colors, decorations, organization, and even cleanliness. Before starting, think how the character developed from the beginning to the end. So in the beginning of the story, we're going to see lots of gold in the bedroom, lots of shininess, smooth textures, probably very organized, because that's how the king was in the beginning. At the end of the story, maybe there's family pictures, maybe there's different colors. It's not going to just be gold and so clean. Maybe her daughters, the king's daughters in the bedroom. There's so many different things that you can see from beginning to end. And then the writing will go down here, explaining the design of the room at the end, using details from the text. So now you can see that map, why it was so confusing. Hopefully now you can kind of see the big picture. So we engage them with the technology. They get creative, they critical think a little bit. They use that to help them the next day in the ELA. So they're using those standards, they're achieving, their designs are a little bit better. And then the next thing is the communication. So they completed their projects, and now we want them to communicate. So we know that students already may have problems communicating face to face. So we want to make sure that in the future, our students are able to use technology to communicate as well. So there's a few skills that they need to know. They need to know how to be good listeners through technology communication, friendliness, open-mindedness, feedback, confidence, and nonverbal communication. So those sound pretty basic to you and I, but when you throw a 10-year-old or something at technology communication, those are some skills that they really need to practice to make sure they're prepared for the real world. So giving them exposure, giving them opportunities to use technology and communication together are good things that are going to help them be successful in the real world. All right. So an example I have is Flipgrid. So um, a little backstory on this. So these were my old students. I gave them, this was during ELA, an opportunity to research with a partner on natural disasters. And then it was their job to communicate their findings however they wanted. They could use it so many different ways. After they communicated, the next day, I had them view their classmates' videos, and then they had to write a comment that something they learned and give some kind of feedback. So I had them practicing the skills. I had them being good listeners. They were being friendliness, open-mindedness. They had to give feedback, and it helped them build their confidence too, because some of the kids would do the video and watch it and say, okay, I don't want to post that one. They would do it again until they felt comfortable, like, I want my classmates to see this. And they also practice their nonverbal communication. So take a quick look. I fast forward just to get their names out of the way. Remember, natural disasters, and they're communicating what they found.
Robert, I don't think your audio is playing on the actual video.
Oh, it's not?
Nope.
Okay. All right. I don't know how to fix that, but that's okay. I think they get the point. So this is just a video version. If they actually go into the Flipgrid app, it wouldn't be all white in the background. It would have places down here for the comments. So like I was saying, I wanted them to practice the skills. So one day they made the videos, and then the next day their assignment was to, leave the comments. So they would listen to this video, and then below they would say one thing that they learned, and they would say one thing they personally liked about the video. Okay, so that's just an example of that. So you can see why the communication can be such a benefit for the students. All right, so some of you probably are wondering, where am I supposed to do this? How is this supposed to fit in my busy day? And I know that you guys have busy days. I know it's almost impossible to add anything new in there. So when I was in the classroom, I was a 4 small group rotation teacher. I know 3 is kind of like, I would say, most common for what I've seen, and your 3 probably look like this. You have your teacher group, you have your review, vocab, independent reading type group, you have your computer base where it's already EduSmart Success Maker, where you're getting those 40 minutes a week and everybody's doing that. And those are great. Those are awesome stations. However, if you add a 4th group, there's a lot you can do with that. So when I add that 4th group, I'm going to add a STEM tech integration. And what they're going to be doing is those activities that I just shared with you, independently or with a group, during the small group rotations. So are those going to get completed in one day? No. You're going to probably chunk it into pieces and have it through the week. So like the King Midas activity, Monday, during the benchmark time, you read King Midas. Later in the day for science, you introduce models, and then Tuesday comes, and during small group, you give them the 2 bedrooms, what it looks like in the beginning and end. Wednesday comes, you have them do the writing. Maybe they start doing the video with a partner. And then Thursday, they produce the video. And then Friday, their job during small group is to go back, watch other classmates' videos, and write those comments. So you can see that it's totally capable to do those activities during, a 10 or 15-minute session per day and just break it up. Don't expect them to do that all like, hey, I need this by this date. Maybe you middle school teachers could do that, but with our elementaries, make sure that we give them clear expectations and that it's chunked up to meet their needs. And then the other thing I wanted to mention is this is a lot, so don't stress yourself to do this every single week. If you can do it once a month, if you can give them opportunities for these STEM and technologies, um, by trimester, that's great. Like that's a huge thing to have in your classroom, and don't stress yourselves doing it each and every week. If you can, that's more power to you, but don't shoot for, every single week. Shoot for a month, every month, once a month for a week, maybe a project once a trimester, just to get them a little excited. All right. And then for conclusion, use technology to enhance what you're already doing. I said that earlier. Like, you guys are so busy, you're teaching those standards constantly, grinding every single day. Use the technology to enrich it. Don't just use technology for no reason or try to base your lesson around the technology. Use it to help you achieve your goals with those standards. Give students opportunities to use technology that can benefit them in the real world. So my mentality as an educator is, yes, going to college, huge. That's so important. But those 4 C's I mentioned earlier, those are going to be huge skills that are going to help them when they are in the real world and they have jobs that require them to be critical thinkers, communicating with others. So make sure you're giving them those skills here and there. So when they're ready to get out into the work world, they're a little more prepared. Enhance your small group rotations by giving them opportunities to use tech and the 4 C's. As I said earlier, I know you have those 3 stations going and you're rocking those. See if you can add in a 4th station, like I said, maybe once a month, maybe once every trimester. And then keep learning fun, keep it engaging. Using the right technology can help you do that. The kids are working really hard every single day. They have a lot to go over every single day. They get assessed a lot. Keep them engaged. Throw some technology their way that they're interested in. Give them some opportunities to work with others, and technology can definitely help you achieve that. So, thank you, and I will take any questions now. I know I went over a lot.
Thank you, Robert. I love the fact that you are using STEM. We did have a comment. Connection across the curriculum is fantastic. Andrea says that this is phenomenal. I love the cross-curricular connections. Do you want to speak to that a little bit? I know you addressed it in your chart, but how STEM can be used across curriculums.
Yeah, so the math one I even mentioned too. I didn't want to touch too much into that because I didn't sure with time, but the math one is multiplication, and from the text, he's obsessed with gold, and he talks about his gold coins. So during math time, during small group, you can throw in another activity about making models with gold coins. So say, I don't know, 21, stacking coins. How many different ways can you stack the coins? There's so many different ways to integrate all the subject areas. All you have to do is take a look, and then you guys are all great teachers, I'm sure, and you know how to be, you know, take advantage of that. We just got to look ahead and see what we can do.
Robert is a former 5th grade teacher. He has taught at several of our schools. He's now in the district office in the STEM department. We are obviously thrilled to have him, and we look forward to working with him. He has lots of great information to share. I love the fact that you teach the 4 C's. Those are all bits and pieces that students can use not only in elementary school, but also high school and beyond. Those are important learning skills, and they will carry through, your entire lifetime. Does anybody else have any questions for Robert before we leave? whole bunch of thank yous. Yes, thank you to
Thank
Ron.
you guys for being here, for sure.
Okay, so if nobody else has any other questions, I am going to take Robert down. Robert, thank you for being with us. We appreciate you, and we look forward to seeing you around the district and learning more from you in our upcoming tech conferences. We hope you join us again.
Appreciate it very much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So as a reminder, the day is not over. We still have session C. We also have Kumo Space, which is an interactive area where you can go and network and join up with other colleagues. To get to there, you can go from the library, the lobby. There's a Kumo Space button up at the top. Just be aware that when you go into a Kumo Space, you can only communicate with people within your circle. You'll see a little green ring around yourself and other people that can hear you. If you move out of the space, you will not be able to interact with those people. You may see them. However, they will be outside of your circle. So feel free to check out Kumo Space. Please join us at session C, which starts at 11:25. And we also have a student voice panel at 12:25. So a big shout out to the best department, I'm sorry, I'm biased, ever, the EdTech team, who does a fantastic job of hosting this conference every year. I have the best coworkers, the best director, the best manager. We're here. Should you need anything, please feel free to reach out to any of us. We are ready, willing, and able to assist however we can. Again, we are thankful that our presenters are here with us. We are thankful for our participants, and we look forward to the rest of the day with all of you. And that will be it for Robert's session and also for session B. And we look forward to seeing you guys later on in the day throughout Kumo Space and also at the closing session.